Hello and welcome back to the Wrexham Way. Hope you're all doing well and looking forward to the start of season 13 here and the transfer special where hopefully we're going to fill in the missing pieces of the jigsaw to make us that Champions League winning team. There's a few players on the shortlist that I think we could bring into the team and they'll complete it for us. Fingers crossed. So to start off with in today's episode, let's celebrate some of our current players and their achievements in this past season. Starting off with Pedro Porreira, the best player in Europe, according to this news report, which is pretty exciting. So the 44 goals he scored were phenomenal, and it's probably a good idea that we didn't accept those bids from Bayern Munich for £200 million last summer. Really, really happy we didn't accept them now. He also made the Premier League team of the season alongside three players you would not expect to be in there: Vasco Sousa, Asper and Nopperdom. Now, although they are backup players, I was surprised actually at how many games they did play because rotation for the Champions League and injuries and stuff like that. Nopperdom ended up with 29 appearances, 20 starts and 9 substitute appearances, which is not bad going. Vasco Sousa, the man that just keeps hanging on. I keep saying to myself, this is probably his last season at the club, we'll let him go. But this past season, he made 20 appearances, 21 starts, 7 from the bench with 8 goals and 7 assists. His best season so far ever, actually, by looks of things, which is pretty decent going. Maybe that one at Portugal, in Braga, was slightly better with goals, but in terms of average ratings, his best season yet. And then Asper ended up, surprisingly, actually playing 31 times this season, 23 starts, 8 off the bench, and that was enough to get him into the Premier League team of the season. So very impressed with the team and how they performed, especially with those 4 players in team of the year. But in order for us to be the best team in Europe, we do need to improve that backline. Now, I'm very happy with our strike force, very happy with our midfield, but the backline we need to improve. Nico Mansell, yes, he has got 2 Premier League winners' medals to his name now, but was quite pivotal in getting knocked out of the Champions League. He's not a keeper that's going to win us a Champions League, sadly. So it might be time for him to move on. If we do get a keeper in nice and early, he may end up being sold for a bit of money. He's 33 years old now, is getting on a little bit. Yes, could play for a few more years, but £40 million is not bad in terms of transfer value. We do need to improve at centre-back, but that player's coming in a moment's time. And left-back. Obviously, we've had Raynet Nuri there the past few seasons, but we have been trying to improve on him. Well, kind of since he joined the club, really, if I'm honest with you. He came in, was it a backup to start off with? Or a compromise? It was either a compromise or a backup. We've never been 100% happy with Raynet Nuri when he joined the club. And we've always been looking for someone to be the proper left back. And I think we found someone. As you can see, it is the 9th of June right now. And the centre-back issue is about to be solved. Because if you remember back a few episodes ago, we had a financial takeover from a new board. And they put 2 bids in for 2 players from Bayern Munich. The centre midfielder, he rejected the contract with us, decided to stay with Bayern Munich, which is fine by me because it was a big transfer and a big wage. But of course, we're not paying for it. The new board are because it was their promise to buy these players when they came into the club. Obviously failed on that one. They have, though, signed a centre-back from Bayern Munich, and he should be coming into the club any second now. Now, there we go. Kenneth Hoyer has joined the club for £92 million and 150 grand a week in wages. I don't think we pay for that, though. The board are paying for it out of their pockets because it was part of their promise when they joined the club. They were going to sign a new player. So, Paniotov, welcome Hoyer to the team, please. But here he is, arguably second best centre-back at the club, I'd say, behind Luis Felipe. I think Felipe is probably the better option. But Kenneth Hoyer is second and will start a lot of games for us this season. And as you can see, 85 caps for Denmark is pretty good. So we will solve our centre-back issue by just slotting him in there and moving Arian B to become a backup centre-back. It does say we have splashed 92 million, much bigger than the 36 for Sal Martinez we brought in last season, who actually might end up being replaced by Tarpe this season. If we do quickly just compare our CDM Martinez, compare him with Daniel Tarpe, if we can find him on this list, very close. Very close. Both 21 years old, both got time to improve. They'll rotate a lot this season. But speaking of left But speaking of the back line, we do need to improve that left-back position. And after so much scouting, I think we found the man to replace Ryan Aït-Nouri. It's 21-year-old Francisco Balestra, currently playing at Juventus, their first choice, and is wanted by Chelsea and West Ham. But of course, we have the allure of Champions League football, whereas they don't. If we compare him with Ryan Aït-Nouri, we can see that he's better defensively and just as good going forward. Obviously, it's been hard to find someone as good as Ryan Aït-Nouri within our price points and who actually wants to join us, but this guy might be the man. And the best thing about him, according to his agents, if we discuss it with him, we want to bring him into the team, £25 to £29 million is what it's going to take. It's quite cheap. So, transfer, make an offer. We want to save as much money as possible. We've got £70 million to spend on players, as you can see, which is a nice bit of money, to be fair. 70 million. Obviously, we want as much of that going on a keeper as possible. So if I put £10 million down and add in instalments of 15, should we go 16 just to be safe? 26 million. It's within that budget that the agent gave us, right? Suggest terms. They want to assess it. Let's make the offer then and see what they say when they come back. I also was looking at the Atletico Madrid left back, but he is older and way more expensive. So actually, let's remove him from the shortlist and get him out of here. What's left now are two keepers. And we'll start off with the Arsenal keeper, who we are desperately trying to get. He is, in my opinion, at least as far as I'm aware, the best keeper in the world. If we compare him with Nico Mansell, head and shoulders better. Head and shoulders better. The issue is he is valued at a lot of money. Transfer, make an offer. If we spend that £10 million now, we'll have £60 million to spend this season. So let's put 60 there. But that's not going to be enough. We could also put 50 down the line. And as a club, we can afford that. £16 million a season. Although it gave me options for 75. Because we could afford £25 million a season for the next few years, couldn't we? That's reasonable to assume. Like, we've got 70 to spend this season. That's a lot of money to spend now. And we could afford that, particularly to be our keeper for the next 10 years or so. What do Arsenal say to that? No, obviously. What if we put 100 down? 160, be 33 million a season, roughly about half our transfer budget for the next 3 years. But we wouldn't need to make big adjustments or changes to the team for the next few years, really. The other option is Kamara from Manchester United, their first choice keeper. And you may recognise his name because we missed out on him last season for £35.5 million. Us and United both put deals in for him, and he ended up going to United rather than us. Now, United did just get to the Champions League final, and they lost it to Liverpool, a team that beat us in the semi-finals. They lost it 1-0, if I remember correctly. So he is a Champions League finalist keeper who lost it. But you'd like to think he could do it with us. Now, if we compare him with the Arsenal keeper, he's not as good as the Arsenal keeper. You can see that. He's just not as good as the Arsenal keeper. But if we compare him to Nico Mansell, he's better than Nico Mansell. And that'll do. The issue is it's going to be expensive. 88 to 107 million pounds roughly. I'm more tempted to see what Arsenal say first. Because I'd rather sign the Arsenal keeper. If we keep pressing continue until we get something back from Arsenal, then that might be the way to go. Now, Man United straight in with a £95 million bid for Frank Nice. We will reject that, and we will keep rejecting bids for him all transfer window. He is not leaving the club at all, but I'm prepared for an awful lot of those bids to just keep rolling in. And Arsenal are rejecting that 160 million. I mean, realistically, I don't think we could really go much more than that. And we've been talking to the press all summer, trying to get him into the club. And he wants to join us, but he's not trying to force a move away. So it's going to be so difficult to get him. One thing we might try and do, though, is ask the board to do this for us. I don't think this will ever work, but he will help me achieve my goals this season. The board say it's not financially prudent to spend such a sum on one player. I mean, you've bloody spent £92 million on a centre-back who's not even our best centre-back at the club. So I'm not too keen on this new board. Right. We've got to do a lot of convincing and insisting here. The fans are behind me. He hates that. It's the least you could do for me after raising the club profile. No. The lack of ambition is disappointing. No. We'll be left behind by our rivals. No. It's important. I implore you to reconsider. No, I'm not going to threaten my job. I'm not going to do a work space. It's not going to happen. As much as we desperately want this guy, it's just not going to happen. So, it's got to be Kamara. It's got to be Kamara. And United are going to want a lot of money. So again, let's put 50 on the table, shall we? It might take £100 million, you know. So again, 50 down the line. And we can afford that, £60 million over the next 3 years. Like that's a chunk of our transfer budget, not all of it. Let's suggest that. And they've come back wanted 140 million. If we bring it down to 45, 15 and 15, that's still too much in my opinion. 10 and 10, 45, 45, 10, 10. And that's £110 million. What do they say? They say yes. And we'd have to pay at least £60 million more. I'd be tempted. I just want to kind of see what they say. I feel like that is... If we added in after 10 international games, an extra 15 million, 175. They still think that's unacceptable, right? Well, we're never going to get him. We're never going to get the Arsenal keeper. It's going to have to be Kamara instead. Although the wages are pretty expensive. Start negotiations with Kamara as an important player. Fine, that's absolutely fine. 230 grand a week. And some huge bonuses down here as well. Well, let's get rid of unused substitute fee. Let us reduce the clean sheet bonus and the appearance fee. But that's still bloody huge. The wage has got to come down. Let's go 150. He won't like that at all. Put the agent fee up to that. Bring that down to 10 million. Suggest. Okay. Well, let's leave appearance and clean sheet because he's only gone up £1,000 there. That's fine. It's the wage we need to work on. 160, 11 million. 205. Up the agent fee a little bit. Keep the signing on fee. 165. 205. And he's gone orange. Oh my God. I don't want to ruin this. We can afford £205,000 a week. We can afford that. He'd be the biggest earner at the club, but he'd be one of the most pivotal. It makes me feel a bit ill offering that sort of contract. It's what we need to do, though. It's what we need to do. It's also really annoying that the other guy they brought in is also on 150 grand a week. It makes the gap feel less big to 205 grand a week, but it would have been bigger had we not signed him. It's what we have to do, though. You know, if we want to win the Champions League, we've got to offer these big wages. We've got to pay this big money. It's what we've got to do. I still want the Arsenal keeper, though. I still want the Arsenal keeper. What could we do with him? After international appearances, 20 games, 20 mil. 180. And that's right at the top end. We could afford it. We really could afford it. That's the thing. We could afford it. £180 million in our bank account right now. That is something we can afford. As Juventus want £32 million for Francesco. Okay, well, it's still £10 million up front. Can we bring that down to 30? Yep, okay, brill. Right, that's the left back maybe sorted out as well. PSG making a £74 million for Nice. Again, we'll just keep rejecting these because, you know, he's never going to leave the club. Nice wants to talk about going to PSG. Let's do that first. Paniotov, can you sort it out for me, please, in the first instance? Please sort it out for me. He can't. Right, let's discuss the issue with Nice then. It wasn't close enough to our valuation of you. and he says 137. We're going to argue with him all day. We're not going to meet an agreement here. Oh, God, he went to 144. 149. Oh, God. He's expecting to be sold for 149 million. I mean, fingers crossed a bit of 149 million does not come in. That's maybe a poor move from me there, but we do have to sort out a contract for this left back. Regular starter, important players, fine. A contract of 120 grand a week, it's a lot. Let's bring it down to like 85. Get rid of... Well, he's not going to like... Make it 100. Make it 100. We can afford it, apparently. Give him what he wants. 155. Jeez. Where's that money? 115. 115. 115. 115, please. 120 it is. You win. I am starting to worry, though. Can we afford the signing on bonuses? I don't know if we can. There's 180. We just can't ever sign him, can we? We can't ever sign this keeper. It's not going to happen. It's astronomical. He's never going to leave us. And this man is ready to join us. 45 million up front plus the 11 or so million in signing on bonus. We're going to have to sell someone to be able to afford the left back as well with their signing on bonus. 57 deducted from the 69 million pounds we've got. We're going to do it. Accept him in there. Get him into the team. Welcome Kamara, our brand new keeper. We now have a world-class keeper at the club. And what we do is slot him straight in. Straight in there. But this will mean selling someone. Ideally, Nico Mantle. Let's just see if clubs want to buy him. And I think it might be time for Aries Kamara to leave the club too. He made 10 appearances last season, 8 off the bench most. So again, a player that never quite worked out for us. But we need a bit of cash right now to have money for these players coming in, or this left back coming in, I should say. Luckily, clubs do want Nico Mantle. It's not quite for the 20, 30 million pounds that clubs were bidding before, but it is enough. Is it? If I reject them all, transfer offer to clubs 15 million. Would clubs go for that? I hope so. In terms of Kamara, a man valued at 25 million apparently, which QPR are willing to pay. Look, we'll accept QPR and offer an ultimatum to all the other clubs. Man United also want Asper, who is not leaving. He obviously was in team of the season this past year, so he's not leaving the club, as Mantle wants to talk about his asking price. But Hoffenheim are offering 15 million, so we'll accept it. And decline to talk to Nico Mantle. Also good to see that we have risen up 32 places to 63rd in European rankings for next season. That is coefficient rankings, isn't it? Which makes sense because that was our first season in Europe. So we didn't have any coefficient rankings before then. So to get straight up into 63rd is not bad going. PSG, £114 million bid for Frank Nice. I'm just going to leave it sitting there for as long as possible because... I'm worried they're going to get close to that 149 million. Why did I not go higher? You idiot, Tom. Oh, also, very quickly, Mantle's like, yes, please, I'm off to Hoffenheim. So, we'll accept that. Nico Mantle, thank you. Your 2 Premier League winners' medals are insane. We love you. Well, do we love you? We have a strong love and hate for you. But thank you, Nico Mantle. Thank you. But we're on to bigger and better things now. But crucially, that does give us the money to accept the left back when he does join the team. So hopefully that happens any moment now, as Man United want Daniel Tarpe now. Nope, you are not leaving Daniel Tarpe. You're probably going to be our first choice CDM this season, and we're going to need you and Sal Martinez to rotate around nicely for our Champions League and everything. Also, QPR, yep, that deal's on the table still, which is great, and an application for the 24th of June for the left back to sign for us. 24th of June. That is going to be the moment. I also keep seeing scout reports for tons of really good players as well, but we haven't got the money to sign them. Like, we are spending... Oh, Kamara, he snubbed QPR. Right. Well, let's offer him out for 20 million and just see if... clubs. I mean, I thought he might snub QPR anyway in the Championship, wherever they are. We have to reject this now as well. So we'll reject that for Frank Nice, and that might be an issue. Clubs are bidding 20 million, though, including Wolfsburg. But they do want wage contributions. I'll accept. No, I won't. Will I? No, I won't. Transfer offer to clubs. Let's go 17.5 million. Add in wage contributions, remove and exclude. Okay. Offer to clubs. No offers. Okay. Transfer offer to clubs, £15 million, and we'll see what comes in. I just don't want to have to pay his wages because we are spending a lot on wages now thanks to the new players coming in this season. And bids have come in. They're not quite as bad in terms... Look, we'll just accept them all, shall we? We'll just accept them all. It's money coming in. It's money coming in at the end of the day. It's fine. What's not fine is this Frank Nice deal. Again, we'll ignore it for as long as possible. But we've got our man. We have got the left back. And he completes our team. So his crossing and dribbling isn't quite as good as Aït-Nouri's, but I think everything else is a bit of an increase. But obviously we don't need him to get forward that much. We are playing fullbacks anyway. So I'm not all that fussed about him getting forward. But if we do compare him with Rayan Aït-Nouri, you can see that, okay, the scouts did embellish his ability to get forward. Attacking wise, not quite as good. Technically, not quite as good. Vision, not quite as good. But he's 21. He will improve. He will come into our first team. And crucially, he's a better defender. And I think that's maybe what we need on that left-hand side. So maybe he's not a world-class player. But for me, he's a player that I think is what we need. So I don't know how many more transfers we're going to do, if any. So I'm just going to keep playing through this transfer window, rejecting bids for our players, but I'm not planning on bringing anyone else in. Kamara, Hoyer, and Balestra are the players that I wanted. The players that we've got, and hopefully the players that are going to win as a Champions League this season. So I've just been continuing on playing through pre-season, taking my time with it actually. It's a different day, hence the different dress and stuff like that. But we're getting to the point where it's getting a little bit dangerous. We have got bids for Sousa from Atalanta, 20.5 million. I'm not bothered by that. We'll reject it. He's staying at the club. Bayern Munich back in for Pereira, of course. They're starting their big bids coming back and back and back. And of course, we're never going to sell him. He's the best player in Europe. We saw that at the start of the episode. But if we were ever going to sell him, they've got to be spending more than the £200 million they're prepared to part way with last summer. But they're not anywhere near that right now, so we will reject it. The issue comes with Frank Nice, though. £148 million on the table, 119 up front and more down the line. We're only at the 10th of July. A long way to go still in the transfer window. I think they will go above the 149, and that's when we're going to get a few issues. Also, we are facing some issues with Dalian Professional, our affiliate club in China, because we no longer have them as an affiliate club in China. The board decided in their wisdom that it's no longer viable for us to be affiliated with them. So we're not going to be affiliated with them anymore, apparently, which is a bit frustrating because they actually made a lot of money for us, and you'll find out more about that in a video later on this weekend. Also, I don't know why I rejected that prayer bid immediately, because obviously Bayern are going to keep coming back and back and back, so just like we're doing with Nice, we'll just keep leaving it and then rejecting it when we have to reject it. Also, quite an interesting point as well, we are currently second favourites in the Premier League team of the season, and interestingly, Kamara comes in to the Dream Media 11, which I'm surprised about because we saw earlier on that he's not as good as the Arsenal keeper, but he's in the Dream 11. Also alongside him actually are Pereira and Nice. Nice in a midfield role there, but really should be up front, so I guess it's just the way they can fit him into the team. But it's nice to know our two strikers are literally supposedly the two best in the Premier League. And it also does show just how much Man City have been underperforming in recent years. They are odds-on favourite to win it. They've got 5 players in the media team there, as you can see. And they just struggle, don't they? Which is bizarre. So if Man City don't perform, we are the favourites. Oh my goodness gracious me. Hoffenheim are making a £77 million bid for Randy Ramheimer, who has no interest in speaking to Hoffenheim. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really want to sell him because he's a very good player for us, but I mean, £77 million? Oh. Thing is, he doesn't want to leave the club or go to Hoffenheim. And crucially, he's a very good player for us, but also crucially a homegrown player, and we don't have too many of those. So really, we could do with keeping him at the team, and did play a big part last season with 34 games, 7 goals, 6 assists, which is not bad going. Oh, it feels wrong doing this, but I will reject it. Because if they're desperate for him, they'll come back in. But it's imperative that we have homegrown players at the team for the Champions League registration, because we don't have many. In fact, I can see this, can't I? Homegrown status. There's a whole list of this. There's only, trained in... There's 3 training at the club: Felipe, Ramheimer and Kat Fotheringham. In Nation, Kamara and Arian B. Valdo will get it in 2 years' time. Cohen Spiegel in a year's time. But, okay. See, we need homegrown players, and Randy's a big part of that. So actually, even if it's £100 million, we might have to reject it. I think we have 8. I think you have to have 8 homegrown players in the Champions League squad. But if you don't, we've got 5, for example. It means we have to select 3 less players than the maximum allowed to make... You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to explain it because I can't think of words in my head right now. Also, Gaston Andriucci has gone from Bochum to Darmstadt. What a flop this guy was, hey? We spent so much money on him. So much money on him in the hope that he was going to be amazing. It turned out Next Gen lied to us. He wasn't. And actually, thinking about the homegrown stuff, there's probably a couple of players in the under-23s that could maybe be put into our team. And when I say our team, obviously, I mean the first team. We also have to now reject the bid for Frank Nice because we are forced to do it at this stage. It's been a week since they put the bid in, so we have to reject it. The next one's going to come through, and it's going to be bigger than 149 million, and he will expect that. He will expect that to be accepted, and he's going to be upset because I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to accept it. It's not come through yet, though, so maybe they're just not going to bother with it. Maybe they'll ignore it. Maybe they'll just think, right, we're not going to do it. We're not going to pay the money. There's no chance. That's the most we can offer. Or they offer £148 million again. This could be a lifeline. Why have they offered it again, the same bid, when they know £1 extra million will get him to start kicking off, basically? Or maybe they don't know that. Maybe they just don't realise that's the deal and they are being idiots. I don't know. Either way, Luciao, a former player of ours, has gone from Leeds to Brighton for £7.5 million. Another player who was quite solid for us, but just wasn't going to be the player capable of getting us to Champions League football. And of course, we stayed away from wingers in the end, didn't we? So really wouldn't have played much for us at all. We also get 20% of profit, which is £375,000 following the transfer of Debbie. What a player he was not for us. He was not that great for us, to be fair, in the past. Although has gone to Leeds from Lyon and does look to have had a good time in Lyon, actually. Maybe he was let go a little early by us, but I think we did need the money at the time. We don't need the money right now, though, and certainly not PSG's. Another week's gone, another bid to be rejected. And they've come back in, as have Bayern Munich for Pereira. Still, 148 million. We're not going above that. You know what? I mean, 175 for Pereira is a lot of money, but I think we're safe with Nice. PSG just aren't willing to go to 149 million. And that... Well, that's beautiful, because that will take us up to the start of August, right? Which is great, the next Tuesday the 2nd. And then after that, the season starts. And at that stage, I think I'll be pretty certain Nice would stay at the club. So I think we're okay. I think we've weathered a storm. So let's wrap things up then for today's transfer special. A bit shorter than usual, but not many signings needed. And of course, we knew exactly who we wanted right at the start of today's episode. And next time out, we'll come back for the West Ham game because, crucially, after that West Ham game is the Champions League group stage draw, and that's what we're really excited for. That's what's going to be our big priority this season. I know we said let's try and win 5 trophies in a season, but I'll be honest, I would happily sacrifice the FA Cup and the League Cup, maybe even the Premier League, in order to win the Champions League. That's my goal. That's what we want to do. That's our focus this season. So thank you very much for watching today's episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And of course, if you have done, drop a like on the video for me. Subscribe if you're new around here and leave a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.